welcome to another video tutorial. My name is Britta Swiderski, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a quick and simple birthday card based on kind of a sentimental aspect of it, using some of my favorite current techniques. This is kind of interesting, kind of backwards. I already have the entire card written out because this is for my boyfriend's sister, Melissa, who I consider a sister to me. And she just turned 21. So we're giving her a pack of our favorite beers from pretty much microbreweries and things like that. Jake and I are huge beer nerds. And so we wanted to give her the best beers possible to sample kind of all the different styles. I'll have kind of this scanned in on my blog so you can read it fully. Just kind of funny stuff, and Jake wrote it out so that it could be, you know, his own handwriting and his own advice for his sister, and it's pretty cute. But my job is to make the card nice and pretty. So I'm going to be doing two things. I'm going to make a background. Since my card's already completed, I basically want to make something to just put on top of it. So I'm going to put this aside because I don't want to mess that up and I don't want to have Jake write it again. So what I'm going to do is make a background using some embossing paste and then use this stamp from Tim Holtz to make kind of a layered cupcake on top. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to start out with some distressed watercolor cardstock. I figured this will hold up really well to the embossing paste, even though it's not very wet. I kind of wanted to try it out because so many people have been saying such amazing things about it. So I'll be using this, and I'm actually going to color my embossing paste with some distress ink. So I'm going to start out by just adding some ink to my mat. I have Broken China, Salty Ocean, and Chipped Sapphire. And that's just to kind of go along with the blue base. And then I'm going to make the cupcake nice bright yellows and pinks for nice contrast. This is a stencil by the Crafter's Workshop by Balzer Designs. And it's the Mini Mud checkerboard. I've been really excited to use this. I'm just going to use some washi tape to hold it in place. So I'm actually going to stick just a little tiny piece of washi tape on the back. I'm going to use the non-textured side of the watercolor paper for this. No real need to add some texture since there'll be a ton of texture with the embossing paste. And I'm going to put this on here as straight as I can. And with really geometric ones like this, you want to probably tape it down. Just because, you know, it can shift just a little bit even after you put the embossing paste on it. So I actually decided that I'm going to use the new texture paste from Ranger instead of the embossing paste from Wendy Vici, just because I haven't tried this one out yet, so now would be a great time to try it out. So I'm just going to make some of each color. You really don't need that much, and you can always make more if you need it. So I'm just scooping it out on there, and then I'll start with the Broken China here. Just mix it together until you get the color to your liking. I'm going to mix all of these at the same time. That way I have them all ready to go. Plus they're all blue, so if you mix them together a little bit, it won't hurt anything. Alright, and so now we're going to go in with our lightest of the embossing paste. Pick as much up as we can and go over this top area. Go in with the medium. And we're just making a little gradient here. Probably need some more of that light stuff at the top, but that's perfectly fine. And we might add one more color at the bottom. This just helps to give it a nice, good gradient look. So I'm gonna wipe this off with a paper towel because I don't want to contaminate my white embossing or my white texture paste. And then we'll add some more up here, some more down here. And I'll use the broken china for the stuff up top, and then I will go with Dusty Concord at the bottom. Seriously, if you need some artistic therapy, working with embossing paste or texture paste is so much fun. It's so therapeutic, I can't even explain. Just moving all this product around is really fun. So I'm just making sure my card front is pretty evenly covered, even going down a little bit. I'm going to have some extra up there, but that's okay. You can always make another background with it while you have it out. Or, you know, you can always just swipe it over in your art journal or something like that if you don't want to waste the texture paste. It's really good stuff. This is cool. I love this texture. Very nice. I'm impressed. Alright, so we have our background done here. And now the important part is just to take this off. Oh, look at that. It's so beautiful. Actually, if you feel like you missed a spot, which I feel like I missed a spot right here, you can go back in and add a little bit more. That's why tape really comes in handy. Perfect. You can just clean that up too. You can actually go in with a little paper piercer. Right now you just got to dip this under water because there's a thin layer of texture paste on here and it'll dry pretty quickly. So I'm just going to go rinse this off really quick. Alright, so we have our background all done. Now I'm just going to pick it up, run my fingers along the edges to pick up any excess embossing paste there might be, which there will be some. Alright, and then we're just going to set that aside to dry. It's not even going to need that long to dry. Probably just about 15 minutes to be completely handleable, but you need to set it aside. Now I need to clean off my work surface, and I'll show you what I do with this extra embossing paste. So since this embossing paste is completely alterable after I let it dry, it can take Distress ink really well. I'm going to add this stencil just into my art journal here. Let's see, go like this. And I'm just going to add in the excess embossing paste right onto my page here. Going for kind of a grungy look here. So it's okay if the squares don't fill up all the way. And I can actually combine these two colors together, even though they were the top and bottom of our gradient. They're going to combine pretty well together. So I use my extra embossing paste, and it's there for when I want to work on this art journal page, even if I'm on the go now after I let it dry. And then I can just clean everything up. See? Gorgeous. Alright, so now for our stamp, we're just going to be stamping onto the same exact cardstock we just used. That way the whites just match up perfectly fine. And this is going to be kind of like the focal piece that says birthday on it. I don't even know if I'm going to use a sentiment. I'm not sure yet. But I think I'm just going to stamp it right here in the middle, and I can always trim it down afterwards. And I'm just going to use some Memento Tuxedo Black ink to do that. And while I'm at it, I'm going to stamp it twice more so that I can cut out pieces and adhere them with foam adhesive on top. Alright, so I have my 3 cupcakes stamped. This is going to be the base. This is going to be the base, the cupcake. And then this is going to be this frosting piece with the candle. So I made sure to ink only the parts that I really was going to use up. And now I just need to clean off my stamp and then we can get started coloring. Alright, so now I'm just going to use Copic markers to color in my image. I'm using all warm colors because I used all cool colors on the background. And the bottom layer doesn't have to be perfect when it comes to coloring. It's a really great area to kind of test out what colors you want to go for, because we're going to be covering up all of the colored areas with the upper layers. Alright, so I'm starting out with RV02 and then adding in some RV04. And these stamps work really, really well for shading because they already have the shaded areas picked out for you. So you just go in with your shaded color and then you just go back over with your main color and blend it in. And once again, I'm not being super precise within the thing, I'm just making sure to not go outside the lines. And then I'm going to use 2 yellows on the candlestick, so the lighter yellow. All of the products that I use on this card will be linked in the description in YouTube and on my blog. So if you have any questions about what products I'm using, especially which specific markers I'm using, it'll all be in the description below. Bottom is going to be yellow, just to really contrast with that blue. And I went a little bit outside of the bounds here, so I'm just going to use my colorless blender to push that little bit of yellow right back in to the cupcake, and you shouldn't even be able to see it on the final product. It's really what a colorless blender is the best for. And then what's really great is that, like, I really didn't think this pink looks enough like pink frosting. So on my next round, when I actually color in the frosting, I can choose some different colors. But this is a really good base layer to know which pieces I need to color what and what layers I want to put them on. So I'm going to go in and color this whole thing again, because I'm going to cut this entire thing out, and then I'm going to cut out just the top part again, so we have that really multi-dimensional layer effect. Alright, so as you can see, I went outside the lines because it doesn't matter on my other two. I made sure to make this bottom part perfect on this one, but all I needed for this part was this top part. So I went outside the lines and scribbled and just made it look good on the inside, and I'm just going to cut it out now, and then we can just layer these on top of each other. But before I layer these on top of each other, I want to make sure that I have my sentiment across the bottom here. I think I'm going to stamp cheers out right here, since cheers, I think that's great for a birthday, but it's also great because the inside talks about beer. So I'm going to find a Lawn Fawn stamp set to do something with. Alright, so I have my sentiment kind of set up here. It is Claire's ABCs from Lawn Fawn, and if you don't know what's fantastic about these is that they're on rectangular bases. So they really just line up super, super well. I'm actually going to stamp this on a separate sheet of paper for 2 reasons. One, I like to stamp it first to make sure it looks good, because you're never really sure with letters until you stamp them how they look. Secondly, since the word birthday on the stamp, the Tim Holtz stamp, is outlined, I want to do the exact same thing with this. So I'm actually going to stamp it on a separate sheet of paper, draw a little sketchy outline on the outside, and then add it to the card. So I just need to clean this off really quick, and then I can use the E once more to complete the cheers. Alright, and then this is one of the reasons why I like doing it on a piece of scratch paper first, because I didn't really like how that's stamped. Sometimes you just line up the things and they're too close together, or like I bent the R a little too far away from the S, so I'm just going to lay it down one more time and give it another try. Alright, I like this cheers much better. Now I'm just going to use my favorite of all pens, the Sharpie pen, to add a nice sketchy border around the outside. And it doesn't have to be perfect by any means. And then I'm just going to cut out all of my pieces so I can assemble them. Alright, so I have my pieces cut out, and I went around the edges with a black marker. This one's just a Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen. Usually I use my Memento black marker, but I can't find it anywhere, so that's going to have to do for now. And then I'm just going to pop it up on some foam adhesive. Put this one down first, and then the other one on top of it. I'm also going to cut out the little birthday sign there, and maybe even color it pink, just to add a little bit more depth and dimension. Alright, so I have my multi-dimensional awesomeness all ready to go. Now the only thing to do is to trim this down. So I'm actually going to use my Tim Holtz ruler so that I can get really clean, precise measurements without having to crush it down with my guillotine trimmer. And I'm just going to trim off as much cardstock as humanly possible so that the background can really show. So I like my Tim Holtz ruler because not only does it have these grid lines on it, but it also has a really awesome metal edge along this side. So you can cut up right against it and it's not going to cut into the plastic. Alright, perfect. And now I'm going to use my little tiny corner rounder. This is the 1/8 inch, and it's awesome because it just takes away the harshness of the corner without looking like a rounded corner. And I really like that. Alright, so our background is completely dry. You're not going to see very much of it in the background, but we know how beautiful it is. And you can always make multiples of these at once, so if you're really attached to one, you know, you can always save it for another project. But I really like the color scheme going on here. So we're ready to adhere everything to our card, and I'm just going to adhere this straight down to the back without any foam adhesive since it's already, you know, 3 foam layers deep, but then I'll adhere this on with some foam adhesive so you can see kind of the colors behind it. Alright, just have some foam adhesive on the back here. Going to center it. This is another reason why laying out your stencil in advance was really good, because now the stripes on either side are even. And there's our finished card. Super excited about this, and I know my sister, Jake's sister, is really going to love it. So check out my blog for the supply list. Otherwise, everything is linked in the description below on this YouTube video. Let me know what you think of it, and let me know what you'd like to see next, because I love doing video tutorials and I want to keep doing more. So thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you again next time on another video tutorial.